Bro, you know something? I never realized how much I had changed. I wasn't looking for that realization. It just happened. A few years ago, I had become deeply attached to a girl I knew from the past. I was coming out of a long relationship and wasn't in a healthy place emotionally. I wanted validation. And when we started talking, I became attached very quickly. We talked often and had emotional conversations. Somewhere along the way, I started believing those conversations meant more than they actually did. Then another guy entered the picture, and I became jealous. I compared myself to him. I wondered what she saw in him. I replayed conversations and imagined different outcomes. Eventually, I asked her out. She said no. And instead of simply accepting it and moving forward, I took it personally. I became convinced that she had given me reasons to believe something was there, partly because of things other people had told me. So I confronted her, and it didn't go well. Things became awkward between us for months. Eventually, we became cordial again, and then life moved on. Years passed. She eventually got married and migrated to another country, and I continued with my own life. I rarely thought about that chapter anymore, until, years later, I happened to be in the same city as her, and somehow, we crossed paths again. I hadn't planned for it, and suddenly, I was standing in front of someone who had once occupied so much space in my mind. We greeted each other, we hugged, we joked around, we talked, and strangely, it felt normal. There wasn't any bitterness, there wasn't any need to talk about the past. There wasn't any need to prove that I was doing better. We were just two people who hadn't seen each other in a long time. But then I found out something I hadn't expected. She and her husband were no longer together. She didn't sit me down and tell me this. I just happened to find out. And honestly, I surprised myself with how I felt about it. Because if you had put that information in front of the person I was years ago, I probably would have reacted very differently. Maybe part of me would have thought, good for her. She deserves it for what she did to me. Maybe I would have seen it as an opportunity. Maybe I would have started wondering whether something could finally happen between us. But that wasn't what happened. My first genuine thought was, I hope she's okay. I hope she finds peace. I hope she finds happiness in life. And it wasn't something I was trying to say because it sounded like the mature thing to say. I actually meant it. There was no bitterness, no sense of vindication, no excitement about what her situation might mean for me. Just empathy. And that's when something clicked. Bro, that's when I realized something. I had changed. And the weirdest part was, I didn't know I had changed. Later, she followed my new Instagram account. Then she messaged me first. We had a few playful conversations, and again, I noticed the same thing. I wasn't trying to make anything happen. I wasn't analyzing every message. I wasn't wondering what she meant. I wasn't looking for signs. I wasn't trying to keep the conversation going just because she had shown some interest. And when the conversation naturally ended, I was completely okay with it. I could enjoy the interaction for what it was, and then just continue with my life. I didn't need anything from her. There wasn't some dramatic morning when I suddenly became emotionally secure. It happened slowly, through mistakes, through disappointment, through learning to let people go, through realizing that someone's attention doesn't determine my value, and through learning that not every attraction needs to become a relationship. I only noticed the change because I was suddenly standing in a situation that would have completely consumed the old version of me. The old me would have analyzed everything. He would have looked for signs. He would have wanted reassurance. He would have spent days wondering what could happen next. But I didn't have to fight myself not to do those things. I simply didn't want to. And that was what really got me.
I hadn't realized that the person who once needed all of that validation had slowly become someone who didn't. Bro, I think sometimes we misunderstand what growth looks like. We expect it to feel dramatic. We expect to notice ourselves becoming more mature and secure. But sometimes you don't notice growth while it's happening. You notice it when life gives you another chance to react the way you used to, and you don't. The situation looks familiar. The emotions might too. But your response is different. And suddenly you realize something changed. That reunion didn't restart an old story. It actually showed me that the old story was finished. And I think that's why the experience meant so much to me. I didn't walk away thinking about what could have happened. I walked away genuinely hoping that she would be okay, and realizing how different I was from the person I used to be. And I hadn't even noticed the journey. So if you're in a season where you feel like you're not changing, maybe don't judge your growth only by how you feel today. Look back. Look at how you used to respond. Look at what used to control you. Look at what used to keep you awake. Because maybe one day, life will put you in a situation that once would have completely consumed you, and you'll realize it doesn't have that power anymore. You won't have to force yourself to respond differently. You'll just respond differently. And maybe you'll look back and think, when did I change? You might not know. Maybe that's okay. Because sometimes the deepest growth happens so quietly that you only recognize it when the old version of you gets another chance and you realize he isn't there anymore.